Have you ever been walking alone at night and felt a sudden, inexplicable chill? That feeling like you're being watched even when you know there's no one there? What if you turned around and saw something, not quite human? Today, we're diving deep into some of the most unsettling encounters with strange humanoids ever reported. These aren't your typical ghost stories. They're tales of bizarre creatures that walk on two legs but defy all explanation. So turn down the lights, get comfortable, and let's explore the world of the truly weird. Our first story takes us to the rural backroads of West Virginia in the UHL. 1960s. This is the birthplace of one of the most famous cryptids of all time, the Mothman. It all started in November 1966 near Clendenin. Men of 5 men were digging a grave in a cemetery when they saw something they couldn't comprehend. A brown, human-like figure soared silently from the trees and flew right over their heads. They were stunned. This wasn't a bird. It was man-shaped, but with huge, magnificent wings. Just a few days later, the sightings became even more terrifying. 2 young couples were driving near an abandoned TNT plant outside Point Pleasant. Their car's headlights illuminated something truly horrifying. It stood about 7 feet tall with a muscular, man-like body. But what really froze them in their tracks were its eyes, 2 huge, glowing red orbs that stared directly at them with hypnotic intensity. And then it spread a pair of massive 10-foot wings and took to the air, easily keeping pace with their car as they sped away at over 100 miles per hour. For the next 13 months, the town of Point Pleasant was gripped by fear and fascination. Over 100 people reported seeing the Mothman. It was always described in a similar way, a large winged humanoid with piercing, hypnotic red eyes. Some witnesses felt an overwhelming sense of dread in its presence. What was this thing? A misidentified owl? A government experiment gone wrong? Or something from another dimension? The sightings abruptly stopped after the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge in December 1967, which claimed 46 lives. This led many to believe the Mothman was a harbinger of doom, a dark omen trying to warn people of the impending disaster. The mystery of the Mothman remains one of America's most chilling, unexplained phenomena. Let's travel across the pond to the UK, specifically to the county of Cornwall. Here, another winged humanoid has been terrorizing locals for decades. They call it the Owlman of Monon. The first sighting occurred in April 1976. 2 young girls, June and Vicky Melling, were on holiday with their parents. While walking near the old Monon church, they saw a huge feathered creature hovering above the church tower. They described it as a feathered birdman, half man, half owl, with glowing red eyes and pincer-like claws. They were so terrified they immediately ran back to their father, who cut their holidays short because the girls were too frightened to stay. Their story was initially met with skepticism, but just a few months later, 2 more teenage girls, Sally Chapman and Barbara Perry, had a similar encounter in the same area. They were camping in the woods near the church when they heard a strange hissing sound outside their tent. When they looked out, they saw a giant owl-like figure with enormous glowing eyes staring back at them. They described it as being as big as a man, with pointed ears and black claws. Like the Mothman, the Owlman sightings are concentrated in one specific location, the woods surrounding the Monon church. Is there something about this ancient, eerie place that attracts such a creature? Some researchers point to the area's rich folklore, full of tales of pagan rituals and strange energies. Could the Owlman be a modern-day manifestation of an ancient spirit, or simply a case of mass hysteria fueled by a few initial, frightening encounters? From winged beings, we now turn to something far more terrestrial, but no less strange. Let's talk about the Dover Demon. This encounter is unique because it happened over a very short period, just 2 days in April 1977, in the town of Dover, Massachusetts. The first witness was 17-year-old Bill Bartlett. He was driving with 2 friends when his headlights caught something bizarre on a low stone wall. He described a small creature, no more than 4 feet tall, with a large, watermelon-shaped head, long, spindly limbs, and huge glowing orange eyes. It had pale peach-colored skin that looked like wet sandpaper and lacked any discernible nose, ears, or mouth. Just a few hours later, another teenager, John Baxter, was walking home when he saw a similar figure. He initially thought it was a friend of his who was unusually short, but as he got closer, he realized it was something else entirely. The creature ran off into a wooded ravine. The final sighting came the next day. Abby Brabham, a friend of one of the first witnesses, saw the creature briefly by the side of the road. All three witnesses provided remarkably similar descriptions and drew sketches that were nearly identical. What's compelling about the Dover Demon case is the credibility of the witnesses. They were all well-regarded teenagers who weren't known for pulling pranks. They were genuinely frightened by what they saw. Unlike Mothman or Owlman, the Dover Demon was never seen again. It was a fleeting visitor, leaving behind a fascinating and unresolved mystery. Was it an alien? An undiscovered animal? Or something that slipped through from another reality for just a couple of days? Now let's head into the dark, deep forests for our next category of strange humanoids, the crawlers. These beings are a more recent phenomenon, with reports really taking off in the age of the internet. They are consistently described as pale, hairless humanoids, extremely thin and emaciated, with long limbs that they use to crawl on all fours in a disturbing, spider-like manner. Their joints seem to bend in unnatural ways, and they can move with shocking speed and agility. One of the most classic crawler stories comes from a user on a paranormal forum. He was a young man living near a national forest. One night, his family's dog started barking uncontrollably at something outside. He looked out the window and saw it, a pale, naked humanoid figure crouched in his yard. It was gaunt, with long arms and legs. When it noticed him, it looked up, and he saw its face had no nose or hair, just dark, sunken sockets for eyes, and a small, round mouth. It then scurried away into the darkness on all fours, moving with an unnerving, insect-like gait. Another common theme in crawler encounters is their appearance in caves or underground systems, leading to the nickname pale crawlers. Spelunkers and urban explorers have shared terrifying stories of venturing deep into a cave, only to encounter one of these creatures hiding in the shadows. They seem to be disturbed by light and will retreat quickly when a flashlight is shown on them. The theories behind what these things are range from undiscovered troglodytes, human-like creatures who have evolved to live underground, to beings from another dimension. Some even connect them to old folklore about ghouls or feral humans. Whatever they are, the image of a pale, emaciated creature crawling toward you from the darkness is pure nightmare fuel. Of course, no discussion of humanoid creatures would be complete without mentioning the shadow people. These are entities that are perceived as dark, human-shaped silhouettes. They're often seen out of the corner of the eye, but when you turn to look directly, they vanish. Unlike a normal shadow, they appear three-dimensional and move independently of any light source. Encounters with shadow people are incredibly common and span across cultures and time periods. Many experiences happen at night, often during states of sleep paralysis, where a person is awake but unable to move. During these terrifying episodes, people report seeing a dark, shadowy figure in their room, often standing at the foot of their bed or in a corner, just watching. One of the most frequently reported types of shadow person is the Hat Man, a tall silhouette. Wearing a fedora or some other kind of old-fashioned, wide-brimmed hat, the presence of the Hat Man is almost always associated with a feeling of overwhelming terror and malevolence. But shadow people aren't just seen during sleep paralysis. People report seeing them while wide awake, fleetingly darting across a hallway or standing in a doorway before disappearing. Skeptics often attribute these sightings to pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see patterns in random stimuli, or two simple tricks of light and shadow. But for those who have experienced it, the feeling is all too real. They describe a sense of intelligence and intention behind the figures. Are they ghosts, interdimensional beings, or projections of our own fear? The sheer volume of similar reports from around the world makes you wonder if there is more to these fleeting shadows than meets the eye. From winged messengers of doom to pale creatures of the deep earth and fleeting shadows in our homes, these stories challenge our understanding of the world. They tap into a primal fear of the unknown, the other that lurks just beyond the firelight of our scientific knowledge. Whether you believe these encounters are real, misidentifications, or products of the human mind, they serve as a powerful reminder that there are still so many mysteries left to uncover. The world might be a much stranger place than we think. What do you believe? Have you ever seen something you couldn't explain? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the weird, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations of the unknown. Stay curious and stay safe.